Hello, everyone. It's LoVetta Jenkins. Here, we love to always talk to first generation students or people who were first generation and inspire the first generation. Well, today we've got the first gen of all first gens, and he happened to be the first person in his family to graduate high school, to graduate college, and pretty much to live in stable housing. I'm talking today to Bhanu Gopal, who you might all know from season 46 of Survivor. Now, although he didn't make it to the end, his journey is one that is sure to inspire you.
Namaste, namaste to everyone who's going to watch this, listen to this. Lots of love.
Listen, I'm so excited to have you here because I must say, when I was watching Survivor, I immediately just was like, oh, he's so sweet. I want to keep him away from all of this stuff going on because you are just a naturally wonderful and inspiring person. And then I learned about your backstory, and I felt like I just had to have you come on here. Share a little bit with our listeners and viewers about yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bhanu Gopal. I'm a first generation Indian American, I would say, a person who grew up in India, but I've been living in the United States for the past 11 years. And I've recently become a citizen of the United States. I'm very proud of that accomplishment.
Listen, and we're proud to have you. I noticed when you were talking on the show, you were mentioning that you were first generation of your family to graduate from high school. How did you manage that, considering the fact that you said you grew up kind of like in extreme poverty? What was your driving force to keep going?
That's a great question, Lovett, and thank you for asking. Um, so a little bit of my background. I was born to a teenage mother, and my father abandoned us when I was 3 months old. My mother quit school because there was nobody else to take care of us. So she started teaching some Indian dancing in order to earn some money so she can take care of herself and also the little baby Banu. While growing up with my mom, she got married and she moved to a different city, leaving me with my alcoholic grandparents. We had literally nothing. As you rightly mentioned, I grew up in poverty, where I lived under thatched roofs, and when it used to rain, it used to pour inside the hut. And there was just a little corner where my grandfather used to sleep. And under his little tiny bed, we used to crawl because in order to stay dry. Those were the conditions. After that, I literally grew up on streets. We, there were times when there was no food, and my neighbors used to give me a little bit of rice, which we used to share among ourselves. And that's how I grew up. But to answer to your question, when my mom moved to a different city, she used to write me letters. We call them inland letters. And she used to write me letters. And I was going to a local school, and I used to wait for that one letter, which she used to send me probably once in every 3 months, and sometimes it used to be every quarter. And she used to always write to me like, Banu, I'm doing good. I hope you're doing well. Make sure you're always, you're not neglecting your studies. And I used to write to her, and I used to give her my progress report, like say that, oh, I'm doing well, and this is what's happening. For the When I was in the sixth and the seventh grade, I started to like lose interest because, first of all, these circumstances where I used to live in, I used to have less sleep. There were only two pairs of clothes which I used to have, and all of that. So those circumstances, so I've lost focus a little bit. But something clicked in me, Lovetta. Something just clicked in me, and then I was like, no, because I've seen my grandfather who was alcoholic and and also to give you a little bit of context, I was physically abused, verbally abused, and emotionally, I was so traumatized. But at the same time, from the age 5 to 6, I was sexually abused. So I've gone through a lot of abuse at a very, very young age. And when I've seen the circumstances where I was living in, and everybody else, where they were like, there was no food on the table. They used to work all day for maybe like say for a penny or something like that. So I was like, Banu, this shouldn't be your life. And this is like a 10-year or 11-year-old Banu telling himself, saying that, no, this is not where you're going to live. And LoVetta, believe me or not, I always envision myself getting out of that place. I didn't know that I'm going to be in America or what, but I always envision myself thinking that I'm going to be in a very good place, I'm going to have a good education, and I live a good life. And that's what it is, that vision. And then I took everything seriously, like I used to. And I used to get good grades. All my teachers used to love me. The moment I used to go to school, the teachers just loved me. There were times when I used to go to school and there was no food, and my fellow students used to give me a share of their food. There were times like that. So when I've seen my uncle going through deep to a dark place, my grandfather, even my grandmother was very verbally abusive. So all of this, it's like it's something in me just clicked and say like, no, that's not what you're. And that's the driving force. So with that, I've excelled in studies. I got my high school degree, and after that, I've joined the workforce. After joining workforce, I joined college. I finished my undergraduate, and I did my postgraduate in MBA, and it's an online course. It's an online MBA, which I did while working because there is no money, so I just need to work, and I and that it's like there was a drive, and you need to have that drive. You need to have that willpower. Yes, there was no food. Yes, there was no sleep. Yes, there was a lot of people who were abusing me and all of that. But what drove me is that willpower, having that constant, like, no, I need to get away from this place.
Mhm. hmm Having your eye kind of on the prize is what they call it. You set your sights on something and then you went for it. And I can tell you, I too was working full time and getting my master's degree online because I had to work. I was a mom, I had to work. So I can really sympathize with a lot of the things that you've shared. And just knowing that you saw what was happening, you saw the lives of others, and then decided, I'm not going to have that for myself. That in itself speaks to the very fiber of you and the kind of person that you were born to be. You might have been born into a sticky situation, into, poverty, but even still on the inside of you, there was the Banu that knew, this is where I am, but this isn't where I'm going to end up. So, because we have a lot of first generation students or people who are thinking about being first generation that do follow us and that do listen to us, what would you tell someone else who may be coming from a rough family, someone who might have been abused physically, verbally, sexually? What would you tell somebody if they're kind of on the fence and stuck between where they are and where they think they need to be?
To all of those, I would call you Banus, to all those Banus out there who are still stuck and are not sure of what to do, talk to yourself. Ask yourself where you want to see yourself. Say in 5 years. Don't say 10 years because 10 years is a long time, but ask yourself where you want to see yourself in 5 years. You want to see there? You want to be there and just like lead that life? Or you want to struggle and just have a good life? Yes, you may not have a Harvard degree, but a lot of people don't have Harvard degrees. All you need is a basic degree for you for to lift yourself up. Just a college degree, just a high school degree. Do not lose focus. I know there are tens and thousands of distractions in today's day and age, but always go back to your own self and ask yourself that question, because you know what? Our instincts is what drive us. Listen to your instincts. Always listen. Just shut all the noises. Sit quiet. Ask yourself, is this where you want to be? Is that what you envision your life to be? No. You want to be better. You want to do better. And that should always be the driving force. You don't have to go and become a president of the United States. Oh, maybe you want to, but at least start somewhere. Don't give up on yourself is the one advice I give you. Do not give up on yourself.
I think that that speaks volumes because everybody else can give up on you and it won't phase you. But if you give up on you, you are 100% not going to reach whatever goal you've put in front of you. And I believe you said during Survivor 46 that the day you became a citizen, you applied to be on the show. You really did that?
That's
It
right.
was your goal to do it?
I It's literally the day I walked out of the courtroom. I still have the picture, and I have to say this, LoVetta, and I I just love saying this. I respect and love Jeff Probst, and I think he's my guru. The reason why I say it because when I moved to the United States, there were times when I was just like lost. And when I watched Survivor and when I watched Jeff Probst, when he's screaming through the screen saying that you gotta dig deep and you gotta give it your all. And I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, whoa, who is this man who's telling me to dig deep and not to lose focus? That's what it's just like a little like a slap and say, no, Bhanu, get on track. And that's what Jeff Probst did. He motivated me. So I was like, and that day I write diary, and I wrote it in my diary saying that, if I become a citizen of the United States, the first thing I'm going to do is apply to be on Survivor. So 3rd of May, 2022, I walked out of the courtroom. I have the picture. I walked out with my certificate and say like, Jeff Probst, CBS. Today, I became a citizen of the United States, and I cannot tell you how happy this makes me, and I want to apply to be on my favorite game show, Survivor. And I just applied, and here I am. I met my guru. I got a hug from him. I met some incredible people. Um, and the rest is history. Yes, I did not win $1 million because the game did not go the way I envisioned. But hey,
I think that while I was watching, my heart was just going out to you because you are such a pure and genuine person that lying and being deceitful just was not going to work for you. And that's okay because that just speaks to the kind of person you are. You are not built to not share and to not give of what you have. As you said from growing up, people would share with you and give you the little that they had. You weren't used to people hiding what they have and letting you figure it out on your own. You're used to more community and everybody sharing. So when it came time for them to tell you, don't answer these questions, you were like, but that's lying and being deceitful. And they're like, well, yeah, that's the name of the game. And that's not how your fabric was woven. You don't have that down in there. So I get it. This game was not for you, not for the game. The game wasn't for you because it's a game built on kind of being deceptive. And you're not a deceptive person. You are pure light and inspiration. And that's why I can say, even though you weren't there very long, the people who needed to see you and to be inspired by you, we all did. And we all cried. And we were all like, oh, Banu. And every time something would happen, we were like, oh, no. And you felt like, okay, I'm done. I already know. Because I had to go back and was like, did they vote? And I missed it. And I was like, oh, no, it was like a mutual agreement. We know it's me. Okay, well, we know it's me. And you just left. And I was like, we're not even going to fight. But it was okay because it's almost like your time there had been served. You had done everything you were supposed to do, met all the people you were supposed to meet, and everybody who was supposed to see you saw you. And that's why we had to lobby and get you here so that you could speak to everyone else who might not have had it or somebody else who's kind of on the fence. You shared your story during the episode, I believe it was your final episode, you shared a little bit of your story, but I knew more people needed to hear more of it. So that's why we had to like send out the bat signal and get you on here. Is there anything else that you can think you might want to share with somebody else who is probably thinking about giving up or just maybe not going through with it? Or if they feel like maybe it's not for me, maybe I'll stay here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with anyone?
LoVetta, thank you so much for summing up my game. Also, I just have to say this. When I entered the game, because Jeff Probst is my guru and I watched every episode of every season of Survivor. Well, I know how the fabric of the game works. I know the mechanics of the game. And I thought like I'm just going to go in and do what's necessary. Day one, episode one, if you see, it's a different Bhanu. But if you see episode 2 on, something in me, again, it clicked because as you rightly mentioned, LoVetta, what happened when I was on the island is my soul and body went back to the time when I was growing up on streets. And as you correctly phrase, it, that Bhanu came in, that the Bhanu appeared where we all shared little what we have. There's no backstabbing because if you're backstabbing one person, you're not getting, anything. We all helped each other. So when I was like living on the island, I looked at these people and I was like, oh my God, these are my family. And because we're all in ragged clothes, dirty and all of that, like not sleeping well. And when it's raining, it was like, we're all getting wet. So it took me back, so into memory lane. And I, even in one of the tribal council, I say to Jeff Probst, like, this is my family. And I was the provider. I was doing good in challenges and all of that. But again, when it comes to lying, I just couldn't do it. It's just like something in me just like couldn't. And a lot of fans are not approving of it, but and they're mad because they looked at me and they're like, oh my God, we see this guy will do great things into this game, but when I didn't do what they've expected me to do, they got disappointed. So that's that. But I would say, if now that I'm on the show, if I ever get a second opportunity, you would see a different Banu. And thank you for all the love and support. And once again, to the people, one day at a time, one day at a time. And again, cut down the noises. Cut down the noises. I think what the kids this age and generation are not doing, LoVetta, is that taking time for themselves. Just like take some time for yourself. Sit in a corner, shut off everything, and just like talk to yourself. Like the one thing which I do, I'm 41, is I go for walks. I leave my phone at home and I just talk to myself. When someone's walking on the street, they would look at me and be like, is he mad? But no, I have an internal dialogue, but mostly it's outwards. Like I just talk like, oh, Banu, you did this. Is this right? After like 30 minutes of just walking and talking to myself, I just come up with my own solution. You don't have to go search the internet or ask anybody. All the answers lie within you. This is according to Bhagavad Gita. All the answers you want are inside you. So take time, cut all the noises, and have that internal dialogue. And also concentrate one day at a time. It's okay to fail. I don't care about what the notions are about failure. The more you fail, the more you learn and you would succeed. People think failure to be with a negative connotation, but I would say the more you fail is the more you learn and ultimately you would succeed.
If you think of failure like that, it's almost like data research a little bit. Okay, so this way didn't work. Let's figure out another way. If this is really where I want to go, then let me figure out the next way to get there. And if you never fail, it's probably because you've never really given it a good shot. Because everybody's going to fail at something. And you might as well get used to it because the bigger your dreams, the more failures, big or small, you'll have along the way. But like you said, you have to keep going. Failure isn't bad. You learn from it. You ever seen a baby fall when they're learning to walk and they just think, oh,
Right.
right, walking isn't for me. I guess I'll crawl forever. No, they get back up, they steady themselves, and they go again. And that's exactly what failure is like to a person who's determined. We just got to make sure we're all determined.
And Lavetta, another thing which I also want to say is we don't have to prove anything to anybody. This notion about, like, I need to prove myself, I need to show the world that no one has the time to think about you. People who are like commenting about you on the internet or social media or anything, they just say, they do it in probably 1 second and they forget about you. You are not even, they don't even think about you. You're the only one who's thinking about you, and you don't have to prove anybody anything. Just prove yourself to yourself. That's all it is. And when I'm saying all of this, Lavera, I'm actually saying it to myself as well. Like, Banu, you don't have to prove anything to yourself. Just because I did not, win Soul Survivor title, and I'm getting some, hatred, it doesn't mean that I have to, like, oh, I'm going to prove them. Like, no. As you said, I went on the show, I did my thing. I've shown the world who Banu really is. The world now knows about my story. If I can move one person, Lavera, just one person, here I am from utmost poverty, who've gone through all abuses, you name it. I've gone through it. From sexual abuse for years to physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and a lot of trauma. But here I am, a proud citizen of the United States. I have a partner who has my back. I'm on the Survivor. Jeff Probst has my back. He's my guru. I have so many good people who are rooting for me. There you go. I've succeeded in life. I can proudly say that I did. So don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Love yourself. Self-love is the best love there is. Love yourself. Forgive yourself.
Banu, that was a word. Listen, I think that with you saying, I did this and I did this, it just clicked with me. Everything you said you were going to do, you did. You graduated high school, you graduated college, you came to America. You said you were going to be on Survivor. I don't know if I heard you say you were going to win it. You said, I'm going to be on, and you were on it.
Oh my God. Yes, Lovetta. Oh, so another thing, I have to show you. So there is, this is my home
Mm-hmm,
office, even though I'm not working from home anyways. This was during the pandemic. There is a small whiteboard right
mm-hmm.
there, and I'm going to show you a little after that. And it's a whiteboard, and I wrote Survivor on it with a marker. So every day I used to sit here, I used to look at that whiteboard because it's right here, and I used to look at it every day. I looked at it and I manifested it. Yes, you're right. I should have manifested like winning $1 million in Survivor, but all I was thinking is I want to be on the show. I want to hug Jeff Probst. I want to just give that man a tight hug. And I gave
And
him the tightest hug I
you
could.
did. That's the thing. You
I
said
did.
you wanted to be on it, and you were. And then you said at the end of your episode, I wanted to touch 1 million hearts, and you did. And I'm telling you, there's power in manifesting and in manifesting words. And also, like you said, looking at your goal every single day. I
That's
know a
it.
lot of people don't really believe in it, but honey, there is a beauty in the intention. If you set your intentions out
Yes.
and you stay focused on your intentions, there's no way that
Yes.
you're not going to get it because you're always in your mind. That's my goal. I got to get there. That's my goal. I got to get there. And you wanted to touch people and you said, oh, I wanted the game. Listen, there might be people out there who hate on whatever you did and the fact that you probably told a little bit too much. That's fine. We talk a lot. I understand. But you shared something so much bigger than the game. You shared yourself with the world. And everybody who was supposed to see your light did. And then they got a little spark of hope for themselves. So, like you said, everybody, there's a bunch of Banus out there. There definitely are. And we are so thankful that you got to share your story with us and that you got to share and encourage other first generation students. I thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love and light to each one of you,
Mm.
and namaste.